On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. We are in the middle of the fight, folks, or at least it's going to get really, really heavy here soon. Obviously, Thursday coming up, we're going to have the whole prime time thing about January 6th. These guys are going to make every effort they can to try to paint each and every one of us into some sort of horrific corner. They're definitely trying to take away our guns. They're definitely trying to use monkeypox and things along those lines to lock us down further, to force mandate vaxes on us. This is hardcore, full court press is happening right now. Now, I do want to say I had a show with Clay Clark yesterday. If you guys hadn't had a chance to see it, I do highly recommend it. It's only 30 minutes. There's no commercials. And we talk about monkeypox in a big way. And he had some great information that he brought to the table. So highly recommend it. Please check that out. It's on my channel. You'll see it there. But we got some great news. We got some bad news. We got some everything in between. I want to start off with a little-known act called the Dick Act. That's right. Not to be confused with a Richard. No. This is truly a Dick. Charles Dick. Yeah, Charles Dick. The Act of 1902, also known as the Efficiency of Militia Bill, H.R. 1164 of June 28, 1902. And it invalidates all so-called gun control laws. It also divides the militia into three distinct and separate entities. You've got your regular National Guard or state militia, if you will, but the National Guard. You've got your Territory and District of Columbia National Guard or militia, if you will. And then the, quote, unorganized militia and the regular army. Now, the unorganized militia is the key part of this, and that's really the part of this whole ordeal that is, well, one, it can't be repealed. If they do, they are violating the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. So we've got this very powerful, profound law on the books that is going to contradict and does contradict what the deep state is trying to do right now, which is take our guns. Now, they're going to do it in any number of ways. They're going to try to whittle off certain guns that you're not allowed to have anymore, certain types of magazines that you're not allowed to have anymore, certain kinds of ammunition you're not allowed to have anymore, right? The infamous blue tips, not allowed to have those anymore. They're trying to take your guns away any way they can. Red flag laws is another great example, all right? Some random neighbor could be like, oh my God, he scared me the other day. He was out there and he pointed his finger at me and I was like, oh my God, it's a gun. These kinds of people are out there. This act keeps them from being able to take away our guns. Basically, it says if you are age 18 to 45, you are allowed to be in a militia. You are allowed to own as many weapons as you want, of as many kinds as you want, with as much ammo as you want. That's what's in the act. Library of Congress passed it. I mean, this is the bill to promote the efficiency of the militia and for other purposes, to supersede the archaic militia laws that were enacted in 1792. The Founding Fathers always knew that the tyrants would come back. The tyrants of England were who we were running away from, the king and all that nonsense, the redcoats. Well, here we are fighting the same group, except, 250 years later-ish, plus sometime. More Ukrainian refugees now going home than leaving. Just letting you know, stuff is winding down. People aren't afraid to go back home. People aren't afraid to live in Ukraine. We might hear all sorts of crazy stuff on the news here, which actually, I'll be honest, I haven't heard a whole lot coming from. Because why? Because the war is ending. Russia's accomplished what it wanted. The big question right now is whether or not Ukraine's going to agree to essentially being carved up. Pretty much the information we're getting, what Ben Foltford was suggesting, and now what Zelensky's like, we're never going to do that. Well, you are. I mean, you're going to. You may not like it. But they're going to carve out the eastern portion. That's going to go to Russia. Western portion, from what I understand, and this hasn't been announced yet, but this is what Folford was talking about, the western portion probably going to go to Poland. And then you're going to have this like little central part that's going to stay Ukraine. They'll probably have Odessa, which is down there in the Black Sea. They'll probably still have that port. So Ukraine will still be sitting pretty in the big picture. But they're going to lose some of this territory that, well, frankly, they haven't been very nice to these people that live there. People off in eastern Ukraine, well, they've been beaten up on them because they're pro-Russian. And the Khazarian mafia hates the Russians. And likewise over on the west, we've got some very pro-Polish people that maybe not so fond of Ukraine. So we're finding out. There's an NBC poll that just came out, and gosh, oh golly, are they disappointed. And this is a big part of what's supposed to start tomorrow. They need to address this. They need to fix this. This is a big problem. Fewer Americans now say Trump is responsible for January 6th. Percentage has dropped down to 45%. It was up, 52, 53% back after January 6th, back when they just lambasted us moment after moment on the media about how all of us are horrible, and anybody that's pro-Trump's horrible, and anybody that's ever looked at a gun's horrible, and anybody that, is religious is horrible, and anyone that owns a crucifix is horrible. Well, it's not working as well anymore. Yeah, it was 52%. Not a lot of people are still feeling that same way, and it's dropping. Now, again, they're trying to ramp that up. We'll see if they can. Now, what else is happening? We're getting this simultaneous attacks. Steve Bannon is now subpoenaing, I think I can say that way, subpoenas to Pelosi, members of the January 6th committee. He's going after a number of people. Based on longstanding U.S. Department of Justice authority, you should not appear for deposition or provide documents, Bannon said. A U.S. president executive privilege is derived from the separation of powers. Steve Bannon subpoenaed Pelosi and 15 lawmakers and staffers last week as he prepares for his trial coming up next month, according to the new report by CNN. Lawyers for the lawmakers and staffers can move to quash the subpoena. We'll see if they have any success doing that, but the way that they've come after us has been, heavily, questionably illegal. Let's say it that way. Questionably legal. Now, he's just trying to get people under oath that were directly responsible for a lot of these actions. Now, I doubt they're going to let Pelosi, but how, right? How do they stop that? They forced Trump into having to come and deal with the tax and the value of a building. He wasn't even running the company at the time, but yet they still trying to force him into the witness chair. Again, trying to get him to say something under oath that's not true, or get him to say something that will screw him. So Bannon is making his efforts. And Bannon's a very smart guy. Now, am I happy about what he got in trouble for? No. He supposedly took money from that wall fund, that Build a Wall fund, which we've got a little bit of a story about as well. Apparently, the SDNI political witch hunt against We Build the Wall has ended in a hung jury. Now, this is the thing where supposedly Bannon, well, not supposedly, he was busted for it, took money out of this fund to build the wall and spent it on some personal stuff, as well as some the other gentleman that was in charge of this fund. Not cool. Not okay with that. Don't know why he did it. Trump pardoned him, and here he is still fighting for himself. So, again, I like Steve Bannon. I watched War Room a lot. I'm, again, he's a good guy trying to work hard. I don't necessarily always agree with the direction he's going, but that's what he's doing. He makes no bones about it. He's trying to rile people up. He's trying to get people pissed off, trying to get people maybe a little scared. I mean, that's just his approach. I don't like that. I know there's something to be said about the effectiveness of it. I just don't like trying to burn fear into people. Now, again, there are some freaked out things that are going on, and as I keep saying, if I'm walking down the street with you and you're looking at me talking and you're about to walk into a pole, and I say, hey, you're about to walk into a pole, I'm not being negative. Just letting you know, you're about to walk into a pole. And that's what's happening right now as a country. We're about to walk into a pole. Now, either A, we're going to notice and do something about it, or B, we're going to walk into a pole and it's going to hurt. And that's where we are right now. Now, most of us that are awake are seeing it coming, trying to take precautions. We'll see how we do. Kash Patel is suggesting Durham trials should take place outside of compromised Washington, D.C. Kash Patel's a really smart guy. This is kind of a duh sort of thing. Yeah, duh, Kash. But yeah, I'm glad you're saying it. Glad the attention's coming out. A lot of questions as to whether or not it really even mattered about Durham and the success of the trial against Sussman. There was a report on Q Report, which used to be Q-Tips, Q-Tips, I think it was. I forgot. They don't post on Telegram anymore. Hardly anyone does. Everyone's on Truth now. It's kind of cool, but thought they would continue to post both places. Whatever. So Key Report says Durham does not need to win anything in these trials. All he is going to do, or all he is doing, is exposing the traitors publicly and entering evidence into the system. Remember this. The military is the only way. Q. Trust the plan and don't put your hope into elections, judges, investigations, or any other kabuki theater. Now, again, we're under the impression, or we've been led to believe, that elections are being secured, if you will. And we've also kind of had it beat into us that this coming election's super important. So not totally agreement that none of these things matter, but the military is going to be the only plan forward, the only way forward. We are going to bring overwhelming numbers coming on November 3rd. Overwhelming numbers. And they are going to cheat. And they're probably going to cheat and take the election. But it's going to be obvious. We're all going to be paying attention. It's going to be a lot like what happened in Georgia in the primaries. Everybody saw it happen live. Everybody knew they were cheating. Everybody saw it, and it's like, this is exactly what you did 2 years ago. We are aware. We are bringing this to the surface. We are forcing people to deal with this problem. Now, they remind us of Post 619. Note the last drop on the other board. Think logically. Refer to past crumbs. You have more than you know. Do you expect HRC, GS, Hussein, etc. to stand in a public courtroom with potential crooked judges and tainted liberal juries? How do you defuse a bomb? Knowledge of which wires or strings to cut, right? And that's what's been happening. We've been cutting off their little financial ties. We've been making it very difficult for them. Now, they're making it difficult for us, or trying to. But we have also been making it very difficult for them. And they've failed on numerous fronts. I mean, we've talked about most of them. China's military must be able to destroy SpaceX's Starlink satellites, researchers are saying. This is the new ploy by China. The ability, one, they've got scanning technology. It's got the ability to look at these satellites within precision of 1 millimeter. That's incredible. Like 1 millimeter precision of the image. So they can see with huge detail what these satellites look like, whether or not these are some military satellites, because there's stories floating around that Starlink or Musk has gotten together with our military, and they're making some military versions of these satellites. Now, at first I was kind of curious. I'm like, how big are these things? I was kind of under the impression they were tiny. They're not big, but they're not small. From what I understand, or the way they were described, they're about the size of a table. So they're a decent size. And they pop out a crap ton of these whenever they go up and release them. They release dozens of them at a time, or more than a dozen. And these things kind of pop out, and they've got their own little engines, and dun, 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 and then they separate, and they get themselves up into orbit. Pretty powerful. China wants to be able to stop that. Want to be able to shoot them down, maybe with energy weapons, maybe crash them, whatever. Now, here's the thing. If you use weapons in space, if you blow up satellites in space, you create a problem for the planet. So China knows that. There's no way they can blow up American satellites and not screw themselves up. And that's one of the things they're pissed off about with Starlink and Musk. Is Starlink released, or Musk released some of these Starlink satellites, and a couple of them, I guess, came very, very close to the Chinese space station. So China was a little pissed. And now they're like, we need to be able to deal with these if this kind of thing happens. Now, one of the things that the military was talking about is adding some instruments that would be sensitive enough to track hypersonic weapons. So it seems that we're trying to prepare ourselves for the inevitable. And there is some stories that maybe we might be a little undergunned. I don't know. I don't know how much of it's true. I don't know how much of it's us appearing weak when we're strong, because I do think, and I've heard rumors, that we've got weapons. We'll talk about that in a second. U.S. and South Korea fire off 8 missiles in warning to North Korea's ballistic missiles. Now, they're showing a fat picture of Kim Jong-un, but he's actually lost a bunch of weight, so this is not that recent. But North Korea had fired 8 short-range ballistic missiles towards the EC on Sunday, day after Seoul and Washington wrapped up their joint drills. Joint Chiefs of Staff said the launches were detected from 9:08 a.m. to 9:43 a.m. from areas around Sunan and Pyongyang. I don't know how to say that. Further details were not immediately available. An informed source earlier said missiles were launched from at least two locations. Now, one thing I want to bring up that I still think is worth bringing up, North Korea is a very poor country. Missiles aren't cheap. To just shoot off 8 of them, it seems expensive, right? Now, again, I'm assuming Deep State's paying for these, not necessarily North Korea. Whatever the case is, South Korea shot off 7 in retaliation, and the United States went ahead and added 1 just for good measure. So we kind of shot some stuff off, and it landed right by Korea's coast, basically saying, look, we got missiles too. You attack us, we will immediately attack you, and we will destroy all of your forests or whatever, because they don't really have much there, let's be honest. Now, one of the concerns that's being brought up, now this is written by an individual, I want to say he's Russian. I know the guy that wrote the story is Larry Johnson, but he makes reference to this Andrei Martyanov. And they're talking about the United States and the way we like to think of ourselves as superior. But one of the problems that we have is that, well, frankly, maybe we're not quite as superior as we like to believe. Now, again, not sure. This is the story. I don't know if I agree or disagree. I do understand what they're saying, and I think there's truth to it. So one of the concerns is aircraft carriers. Aircraft carriers extraordinarily expensive. Got 2 of them right now that are planning on costing upwards of around $12+ billion each. They're expensive. Very expensive. So that's a big problem. 2, they've got these hypersonic missiles. China, Russia, and Iran probably have hypersonic missiles that can travel 1,000 miles, and they travel at the speed of 4 times the speed of sound or more. They are exceptionally hard to shoot down. Maybe not possible. Maybe they are. I know from standard anti-missile missiles, probably not going to work well. From the standard of the guns that we have, I forget what they're called, the ones that the phalanx that shoot and try to shoot down missiles with bullets, those aren't going to work. I do understand, or I've heard, that lasers have been placed on these. They had to do some power upgrades, so a lot of the ships went into port back when Trump was in charge. That was one of the speculations. We don't know for sure. Obviously, we're not showing our hand. We're not saying, hey, no, we can shoot down your stuff. Here's how, here's why. And so they might be right, might not be right. But that's one of the big concerns right now is these hypersonic missiles and the ability for these to not just hit land targets, but they are designed to hit sea targets. So that's concerning, to say the least. They're also bringing up the fact that the Russians now have the S-500 air defense system, and that is exceptional. And in fact, would likely shoot down, if we were to attack them with nuclear missiles, large amounts of ICBMs, odds are they would shoot down a good chunk of them. Probably. Now, our whole plan would just be to rain down so many damn missiles that some get through. And that's likely how it would play out. And generally speaking, in a lot of the simulations I've seen, the United States has huge, larger number of missiles, comparatively speaking, and we use them. But they're not 100% effective. So whether this is true, whether it's not true, whether this is posturing, whether this, I don't know. But this is what's being brought up. We'll see what happens. Fingers crossed. I'm hoping we're all the stuff we think we are, but Trump did a lot of things to help us. Biden's doing everything in his power. Obama's doing everything in his power to destroy us from the inside. So we'll see. Far-left DA Chesa Boudin has been voted out of office in San Francisco. He is the far-left DA. Crazy guy. Got voted out. Literally got recalled. That's shocking. That's shocking. So the San Francisco mayor is going to try to replace him, obviously with someone less hardcore left, and that's why this guy lost. People didn't like how crazy progressive he is. This is one of probably the most progressive cities we have in the United States, and they've booted out a far-left DA, allowing way too much crime. That's promising. That's very promising. Now we're finding out that the LA DA is getting ready to be recalled. So we've actually literally got jailhouse audio revealing a murderer trying to hurry up and make a deal before this lawless DA is recalled. because this criminal understands when we get a new DA in Los Angeles, he's probably going to throw the book at you. Because again, these progressive DAs are pissing people off. Even people on the left, even people of color. Pissing people off. See, we're doing a lot better than it feels like sometimes. Certainly the deep state still got some pretty strong news that they can push out and freak us out. Do a pretty bang-up job on that. Here's a great example of that. Seattle school principal refused to cooperate with the police as a deranged intruder was terrorizing a class of 5th grade students. They allowed him to exit the school lockdown and immediately commit multiple assaults before his arrest. Now, this individual hops over a wall, had a tennis racket, was touching all sorts of students, doing all sorts of weird stuff to students. The principal, when the cops showed up, wouldn't let the cops, wouldn't work with the cops, wouldn't let them on campus, and continued to let, and again, no guns, but he continued to let this gunless individual with a tennis racket cause fear and mayhem. He actually was grabbing students. He was trying to take a student, and her little girlfriend, I guess, tried to fight it and somehow got him to let go of her friend. So, interesting. He grabbed 2 children. He grabbed one and thought that's the one he wanted to take, but then another girl tried to defend her friend, and he deflected her and grabbed her too. This is what is going on. And then the principal, he just lets it happen. Provided very little information about the incident. I was only advised that the suspect jumped the fence. The officer observed Harrisman walking around in circles while repeatedly dropping personal items. Principal, whatever, and the other teachers would not speak to me. I had not been advised of any crime, so I contacted the suspect thinking I was performing a welfare check due to his mental state. He appeared to be under the influence of narcotics or possibly having a mental episode. Harsom would not speak to the officer and walked off. This is what the people on the left are doing. Right? I don't know how you sell that. That's like trying to say, no, we should totally kill children. We should abort them as quickly as we possibly can. Like, that's a really hard argument to support. Former Pennsylvania Democrat congressman pleads guilty to fraudulently stuffing ballot boxes for Democrat candidates. Almost feels like some people are getting busted. In a sentencing memo dated Friday, federal prosecutors said his criminal efforts were generally, although not exclusively, directed at securing election victories for local judicial candidates running for Philadelphia's Court of Common Pleas or municipal court who had employees Myers as a political consultant. Philadelphia. Good old Pennsylvania, right? Huh. That's interesting, isn't it? Good old Philly there. We've had all sorts of strange problems coming out of there, haven't we? Almost sort of makes sense of it all. Kinda, doesn't it? So this guy got busted. Trying to get his judges in. Myers, by the way, was expelled from Congress back in 1980. Guess why? For taking bribes. Yeah, there was some scam sting investigation he got caught up in. He admitted he bribed a judge of elections to add votes for his chosen candidate, including clients who were running for judicial offices. The bribes were hundreds or thousands of dollars. He conspired with another election judge to tell voters on election day which candidates they should vote for. Candidates that Myers had selected, and the now former judge cast fraudulent votes for people who did not appear at the polls. That's not good. Trump-endorsed AZ Senate candidate Blake Masters gets a far-left Arizona Mirror reporter fired after exposing racist, sexist, and homophobic tweets. This guy said some horrible stuff. Horrible stuff. N-word, F-word with agate, right? Not cool thing. Not a cool word to use to gay people, by the way. It's a very offensive word. You know, is what it is. I mean, some people use it, some people don't. I don't think it's not something I use. Again, I've got friends that are gay. One of my best friends is gay. But Master said you shouldn't throw stones if you live in a glass house, and if you got a glass jaw, you should watch your mouth. Pretty awesome for Blake Masters. But yeah, this guy's got all sorts of bad stuff. Things longer than Kim's marriage, Asian people's wieners. I only deal with women for 3 reasons: sex, money, and making me sandwiches. No pity for the kitty. If we lose, I will most likely puncture a cat with a fork. And he says, pencil weenies in my mouth. Again, this is this Dylan Rosenblatt. Needless to say, he got fired. This is probably the worst one he did, Dylan Rosenblatt, talking about Dole juice. So, yeah, Blake Masters is like, there's plenty more. So, needless to say, Arizona Mirror removed Dylan Reed Rose from their website as of May 31st. So, yeah, this guy's a lefty, piece of trash, racist, homophobic, sexist. Again, these things that happen on the left far more than they do on the right. I would say, honestly, most of us on the right are a lot more tolerant than probably a lot of us want to be, but certainly we've become tolerant. But at the same time, there's certain lines we're not willing to cross or let people cross. New poll came out for Donald Trump, his job rating. I got to say, basically, considering he's not president right now, he's being way more presidential than Biden. And thank God he is, right? I actually feel like we have a chance because of the stuff he's doing. We'll see if it's true. But this is from McLaughlin and Associates. His approval's at 90%. Strongly approved is at 70%. Somewhat approved, 20%. Pretty strong numbers. Disapproved, 10%. Somewhat, 3%. Strongly, 7%. There's people that hate. But when we talk about the numbers, and again, this is a GOP-type poll, but when we talk about the numbers, we're only looking 10% at disapprove here, folks. 10%. We've been talking about having to get over 80%. That's like Juan O'Savin's infamous number. And based off this GOP poll, and again, it's just like when an ABC poll happens. You can't fully trust it because it's kind of slanted to one side. But it is showing some interesting info. Judicial Watch forces the release of DOJ memo that declined the criminal prosecution for Ashley Babbitt's killer, Michael Byrd. So apparently the Babbitt shooting evidence is also missing. But Judicial Watch on Tuesday forced the release of the DOJ memo declining the criminal prosecution for Ashley Babbitt's killer, Michael Byrd. Ashley Babbitt, 14-year veteran from San Diego who served 4 tours with the U.S. Air Force as a high-level security officer, was shot and killed by Capitol Police Lieutenant Michael Byrd on January 6, 2021. Ashley Babbitt was shot through a window on a closed door by an officer. Babbitt appeared to be standing behind a group of people who were attempting to gain entry into the chamber. Police had barricaded the door, attempting to keep the Patriot protesters out, and then drew their weapons. Michael Byrd opened fire and shot Ashley in the neck. She was wheeled out of the Capitol on a stretcher covered in blood and later pronounced dead. So yeah, 2 people killed there. I forgot the other day. I forgot to mention Ashley. That was horrible. You got the one lady that was totally pummeled to death outside, and then yeah, Ashley Babbitt shot, cold blood. So the documents also reveal that the press release announcing the decision not to prosecute Byrd for the killing of Babbitt, the DOJ replaced the words group and crowd with the word mob several times. There are several USCP-operated closed-circuit television video cameras inside the United States Capitol building. However, there were no CCTV cameras observed or located in the Speaker's lobby area. So yeah, the records contain the prosecution, the declination memorandum justifying the decision not to prosecute Byrd for the shooting death of Babbitt. The overview and recommendation section reads as follows. This memorandum recommends that the United States Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia decline for criminal prosecution the fatal shooting of Ashley McEntee. This declination is based on a review of law enforcement and civilian eyewitness accounts, physical evidence, recorded audio communications, cell phone footage, MPD reports, forensic reports, and the autopsy report for Ms. McEntee. After a thorough review of the facts and circumstances in this case, there is insufficient evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Lieutenant Byrd violated Ms. McEntee's civil rights by willfully using more force than was reasonably necessary or was not acting in self-defense or defense of others. So yeah, not good, but at least the record's out. These records show that Lieutenant Byrd was given special treatment by the Biden DOJ and that there was a miscarriage of justice in the half-baked shooting death investigation of Ashley Babbitt. Lieutenant Byrd, who worked for Congress, shot an unarmed woman for no good reason. I suspect that this unjustified shooting isn't of much interest to the Pelosi-Rump January 6th committee. Pretty messed up, but it's out. We're getting the evidence. Project Veritas uncovers a CBS broadcast associate who's revealing the cheap way of fact-checking, where they actually reference their own stories. This is crazy. Check it out.
Money reigns supreme at the end of the day. Money over morals kind of is how it is. And one of the reasons why I want to leave news is because it's not really as impartial as it had been.
As what?
Impartial.
What do you mean?
Picking a side or like leaning one way.
Hey, Mike Milford. Yes. You're with CBS News. This is James O'Keefe with Project Veritas. This seat taken? The discipline of verification is what separates journalism from all other forms of communication, such as propaganda, advertising, fiction, or entertainment. Society professional journalists say you need multiple sources for verification. But you're on tape saying you use your own company, CBS News, to fact check.
But you could cite your own company for a fact check.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, it's like a cheap way of doing it. Like it goes by quicker. So I'll just Google like whatever and then like CBS on the end. Mm-hmm. And if there's a CBS article about it, then I'm like, great, verified.
So you use your own company for a fact check? Say great verified.
Correct. We fact check our sources, yes, and our information.
But you don't say that. Again, the Society of Professional Journalists, you need multiple sources for verification. That's what separates journalism from propaganda.
The civil duty that I kind of thought that I was going to get out of it, and like the reward of like telling people what's going on, I just haven't felt it.
Well, that's starting to explain a lot, isn't it? You just look for their own articles that kind of help out their own story. That's pretty crazy. DeSantis is fighting back after Soros-linked media group targets Hispanic voters. So we've got this Soros group that bought a bunch of radio stations, 18 Hispanic radio stations across 10 different U.S. markets, obviously markets that have high Latino populations. So what he did is he bought a bunch of advertising on there to basically tell people, hey, this is what's up. They're meant to disinform your community. Fight back. Get smart. Don't let them do this. But that was cool. I mean, I'm sure at some point they're going to, turn down his money and say no. But that is one of the funny things about advertising is for a lot of companies, they're whores for advertising. Like they need the money badly. And most of the time they're not sold out. So they're constantly trying to add more. So it is what's happening. DeSantis, of course, doing a bang-up job fighting back. Gotta love it. CDC raises monkeypox alert, recommends mask during travel, and then removes the advice. Yeah, they went from level 2 and recommended that people wear masks when traveling before appearing to make a U-turn on their advice. In an update, the government agency raised the alert to level 2, encouraging people to practice enhanced precautions measures such as avoiding contact with visibly sick people, regularly washing hands, and wearing a face covering. Cases of monkeypox have been reported in Europe, North America, South America, Africa, Asia, and Australia, mate. Some cases were reported among men who have sex with men. Now, if you're a man sexer, well, yeah, probably got to be careful. Some cases were also reported in people who live in the same households as an infected person. Okay, kind of. Well, if someone's got all sorts of nasty pustules all over their body, maybe don't hang out with them and certainly don't have sex with them. I don't think it's the actual sexual contact unless they're on the dingle-dangle. But I do think if you're like rubbing on someone and they got monkeypox, you're probably going to get the pox. However, they say, the advice regarding mask wearing is no longer present on the CDC website as of June 7th, while the rest of the advice for travelers remains in place. A CDC spokesperson told the Epoch Times on Tuesday, late yesterday, CDC removed the mask recommendation from the monkeypox travel health notice because it caused confusion. Travel health notices inform travelers and clinicians about current health issues that impact travelers' health, like disease outbreaks, special events or gatherings, and natural disasters in destinations around the world. In countries where there is current monkeypox outbreak, CDC continues to recommend masking in high-risk situations, including for household contacts and healthcare workers, or for other people who may be in close contact with a person who has been confirmed with the monkeypox, who had sex with a male monkey that had pox. I don't think that's actually what happened. You guys remember how AIDS came, though, right? Like the green monkey, like someone either had sex with a monkey or ate a monkey. I never really felt like that was established well. I certainly had a hard time with the idea of someone having sex with a monkey. That just seems odd. But I mean, there's weird people out there. To each his own. Doctors suing Food and Drug Administration over ivermectin. A Washington law firm has filed a federal lawsuit against the Food and Drug Administration for interfering with the use of ivermectin as a treatment for COVID-19. Oh, no. The lawsuit was filed by Boyden Gray and Associates on behalf of 3 doctors who were disciplined for prescribing human-grade ivermectin to patients. Yeah, not the horse paste, but actual human ivermectin. The firm's founder, attorney Boyden Gray, is a former legal advisor to the Reagan and Bush administration, which means he's old as hell. Gray told the Epoch Times that the FDA had violated well-established law that allows doctors to prescribe an FDA-approved drug as an off-label treatment. Ivermectin was no different, he said. It was approved by the FDA in 1966. Congress recognized the importance of letting doctors be doctors and expressly prohibited the FDA from interfering with the practice of medicine, Gray said. This is exactly what the FDA has done time and time again throughout this pandemic, assuming authority it doesn't have and trying to insert itself in medical decisions of Americans everywhere. 3 plaintiffs in the case are Dr. Paul Merrick of Virginia, Dr. Mary Bowden of Texas, and Dr. Robert Apter of Arizona. So, good stuff. And then Merrick is the founder of the Frontline COVID-19 Critical Care 21 Alliance, so some of these names might stand out. Bowden, too, is another name I recognized. So we'll see where this goes. We'll certainly try to get the information on it, but this is pretty strong. Ivermectin has a lot of benefits, just to say the least. It takes down viruses. Seems to work on cancer. It's got a lot of interesting uses that we should be studying heavily. Oh, and I mentioned it's cheap as hell. Yeah, let's talk about that too. We're finding out that healthy, young people are dying suddenly and unexpectedly from mysterious syndrome in Australia. Doctors are baffled and they seek answers. Probably has nothing to do with the vaccine, right? No, of course not. Daily Mail reported people aged under 40 are being urged to have their hearts checked because they may potentially be at risk of sudden adult death syndrome. You guys have heard of SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome? Some suggest it might be linked to vaccines for children. Others have suggested it has to do with some other things, parents using drugs. There's a lady that actually reaches out to me that's, I guess, very, very educated in this type of stuff, meaning that's what she does professionally. And that's what her research has shown. So might very well have strictly to do with, I want to say it's women that did coke and maybe heroin. I forget the second drug, but I think it's coke and heroin. And they're saying that causes SIDS. Needless to say, SADS, which is the adult version of SIDS, where you just die in your sleep. Don't put them on their stomach. Don't put them on their face when you're in bed and you're an adult. You might die. SADS is an umbrella term to describe unexpected deaths in young people, said the Royal Australian College of General Practitioners, most commonly occurring in people under the age of 40. The U.S.-based SADS Foundation has said that over half of the 4,000 annual SADS deaths of children, teens, or young adults have one of 2 warning signs present. Let's see. Is this them? Completing this poll and no, this sign. Oh, those signs include a family history of SADS diagnosis or sudden unexplained death of a family member, and fainting or seizures during exercise or when exiting or excited or startled, sorry. So I guess if you've got family members that have died of SADS, you should be concerned. It's like, I've never even heard of this disease, but I'm supposed to now look for family members that have died from it? Oh, well. Last year, a 31-year-old woman, Catherine Keane, died in her sleep while living with 2 friends in Dublin, which is not Australia, but whatever. Seems to relate, I'm guessing. FDA advisors recommend authorizing Novavax COVID vaccine despite risks of myocarditis. That's going to hurt you, but we're going to approve it anyways. Why? Because we're the FDA. We don't actually care about your health at all. We want to make drug companies as rich as possible because they kick us back money, and we've got patents lying on this as well. So yeah, you kind of get it. This is why you don't trust them. This is why when you go in and your doctor's like, yeah, well, you know, it's recommended that you get the vaccine 66 times every 4 seconds. No, you're an idiot, right? That's why I don't listen to my dentist. My dentist is trying to give me advice about vaccines. I'm like, you know what, dude? Can you just worry about cleaning my teeth and get off the whole giving me internal medicine stuff? You're a dentist. Make my teeth pretty. Don't tell me about internal medicine. That's not your thing. All right? I don't want to hear you telling me about it. Fortunately, he's actually reasonably cool, but I keep waiting. So yeah, myocarditis, pericarditis, this stuff is not good. There's all sorts of cases of people getting it. I mean, it's in smaller smaller numbers, but it's still like hundreds of people. You know what I mean? So you can't just ignore it. Whatever. Right? This is what's happening. And the people that are going to take it probably going to have ill effects. It's kind of what happens. People that aren't going to take it, we're the ones that they're coming after anyway. So that, you know, they want to lock us all up or take away our Second Amendment, take away our First Amendment, force us into vaccines, force us into camps, re-educate us. Some of the things that they've talked about. It will be interesting, though, as push comes to shove. I mean, I don't know if you guys heard the story. They threw away like 70 billion. Sorry, million. 70, it had to have been. Couldn't have been billion. Yeah, I guess it could. 70 billion doses. Holy crap, that's a lot. 70 billion doses of vaccine they had to throw away. Which I hope to God they didn't just dump it down the drain or whatever. Like, I don't know how they destroy that, but oh, God. What an environmental nightmare. But whatever. Probably causes global warming. 70 billion doses. Why? Because there's not people that want to take it. We kind of won that one. But they're still pushing. Now they're trying to do the monkeypox. Again, for the people that have already been vaccinated, boosted, triple boosted, they're going to die. I'm sorry, probably. Especially the ones that are going to go out and now get the friggin' monkeypox vaccine. Probably end up with crazy shingles or something wild. Novavax. Don't use it. Not good for you. All right, we've got a couple cool posts that got pointed out. Post 4688 being reminded, and we're just going to stick to the highlighted parts. This was, again, from Q Reports on Truth. Stall U.S.-China trade phase 2 by China time. Prevent loss of billions. Locked into agreement. So this is, I think, why they wanted Biden in there so badly and why he's now trying to get rid of the tariffs that China's paying. Number 5, protect Biden from Ukraine scandal regarding himself and son. COVID-19 change of narrative. Protect Biden from sexual assault allegations. COVID-19 change narrative. Create non-digital pathway to rig 2020 election. Engage 80 million mail-in ballot distribution. Coordinated as early as April-May of 2020. Also, attempt ballot harvest media push. We don't know how many ballots are left undelivered by Postal Service regarding legal challenge battleground states, stall challenge, push division, chaos, yada, yada. We saw all that play out. Create impression of the country is divided. Use the EU early war election gaming tactics against current administration. Change narrative 44 administration treason and corruption to POTUS C-19 failure and death blame. Justify social media censorship by using COVID-19 and the World Health Organization. Leave door open for constitutional crisis. Avoid delay public exposure of corruption and accountability. Prevent loss of control or power. Avoid delay loss of U.S. taxpayer trillions due to the loss of control, inability to enact corrupt policy to send money overseas disguised as goodwill, climate, unregulated, no audit policy. How do you accomplish the above? Release a blank. Who benefits the most? When did this come out? September 13th, 2020. Interesting. Also, post 4794. Some believe the protection of agency is what matters most. Some believe that the declassification, public exposure of truth, and rebuilding of the agency is what matters most. Apply the same logic to the FBI or to the state. Any attempt to buck the system, no matter severity of crime, and they will fight back. Self-preservation. We're seeing this all play out. Shadow game. Prevent public exposure of truth. Why? People united have the power. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism. It is our right. It is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Tyranny, like hell, is not easily conquered. Yet, we have this consolation with us, that the harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph. Pretty true. President Trump shared with us, it is being stated by almost all that Joe Biden is the worst president in history. If inflation is not quickly reined in, it's kind of an interesting choice because he spelled it wrong. Reined is not spelled like this. This is precipitation is what he's spelling here, not reined in like you rein it in, like you're holding the reins of a horse. What was that, E-I-G-N, right? R-E-I, right? So he may go down as an equal combination of Herbert Hoover and Jimmy Carter, with Jimmy's only words of wisdom being that our country should not use mail-in ballots for voting because they will lead to very corrupt elections. Now, reined in, interesting. I don't know what brings May flowers. April showers brings May flowers. Also made me think of the storm. Storms have rain. So it's interesting what he's sharing here. I went and did a search on Q. Didn't find anything on the Q boards, anything that said rained where he used that word. Found a bunch of stuff where he said drained and some other word that had a letter in front of it, but not rained itself. Biden's killing the middle class. Gas prices soared to new all-time highs at $4.95 a gallon, closing on the 5-gallon mark. We'll hit that here any day now if it hasn't already happened. I think I saw the gas this morning, and it's still sitting at $6.29 where I'm living, so it's actually stayed at the same price for about 2 days, but it's going up, folks. It's going up in a big way. I've definitely been riding my bike a lot more to try to help out with that, and significantly less expensive, by the way. I'm finding out it's costing me, like an empty charge, probably costing me about $3 if it was empty, and that's like quite a few miles. $3, not very much at all. That'd be easily the equivalent of 4 or 5 gallons of gas, easily, and that's being way conservative. Biden's Commerce Secretary is apparently throwing in the towel on gas prices, says there isn't very much more to be done. Well, thanks. Thanks for everything you're doing. Kind of feel like we should probably fire you. Whenever anybody's like, yeah, so I can't really help you, right? Might hurt myself. Or, there's a lady that I'm friends with that went into the store one time, and I guess the deli was sort of closed down, and she hit up one of the front-end managers or whatever, and she's like, yeah, I want some of that deli meat. And she's like, ooh, yeah, I don't know how to use the slicer. I'd probably cut my finger off. And the lady's like, aren't you supposed to know how to do that kind of stuff? No, I can't. Sorry. Shoot, you're worthless at this point then, right? Right? Worthless. So is this lady. Worthless. Biden White House staffers are wondering, why are we doing this? It's kind of funny. Nobody's paying attention is what the big point is. We'll do this little 30 seconds of CNN basically saying what I just shortened for you because it kind of long-winded the way they spell it out. But ultimately, it's like, why is no one paying any attention to what Joe Biden's doing or saying? It's like almost like nobody cares. Even stranger is that he supposedly got 81 million votes. So hard to believe.
So new reporting on messaging struggles within the White House. CNN's Isaac Dover reports, quote, being familiar never makes the feeling less dreadful. White House aides emailing each other during one of President Joe Biden's stops on the road, tracking who's covering what he's saying and which TV channels are taking the speech live, and realizing a number of times that the answer was none. You are thinking, said one person familiar, why are we doing this?
Good question. Why are we doing this? I don't know. No one cares about Biden, so that's a great question. You guys are going to have to figure that out while you sleep at night. Biden administration expected to reinstate price controls, bringing back the 1970s gas lines, experts are warning. Yeah, that's not good. Last month, House Democrats passed the Consumer Fuel Price Gouging Prevention Act, which empowers politicians and bureaucrats to bring civil action against gas companies who engage in unconscionable pricing, as defined by the bill. Like, what does that even mean? That was put into a legal bill, a law. Unconscionable pricing. What is that? The legislation grants the president the power to declare an energy emergency for up to 30 days with the option to extend the declaration. Yeah, you see that one coming, right? So again, they're going to continue to try to be tyrannical as we continue to try to point out that, as we continue to show their crimes. This is going to get interesting. Tory says, specifically talking about June, June's going to be a tough month. This is going to be the all-out grab. Going after the guns. They're going after our rights. They're going after our free speech. They're going after it all. They're going after it all. Now, they don't legally have any place to do this. Maybe pushing back on the states. That was the one thing that Tory brought up, is if the states decide that they're going to manage gun rights individually, it's going to be interesting. It's what they want to do with abortion. Some states are going to totally shut down guns. Now, I know California, I believe, has got a constitution, because we've had a number of gun laws that have been shot down here within the states because it goes against our state constitution. So some of us probably still have constitutions that protect us. I think some states don't actually have a whole lot of Second Amendment stuff thrown in their own state constitutions. So it's going to be interesting. We're, of course, trying to push, like I said, the abortion thing to states. So now they're going to try to push the Second Amendment to states, even though abortion's not mentioned anywhere in the Constitution. Nowhere. Nowhere is it. But guns are. So this is, again, the fight for our lives, folks. The fight for our freedom. The fight for this country. World Bank signals a global recession, saying essentially no rebound is expected with several years of above-average inflation. They are now calling it, now again, this is based off the Fed, based off the central bank. Central banks are our biggest problem when it comes to monetary policy. They've created the problem we're in. They're tied into the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, all these bastards. This is the people that we should be pissed off at, and then politicians next on that list. These are the people that are destroying everything that matters to us. And they're just trying to make themselves richer and richer and control us more and more and get us into this social credit system where they can completely control you. Because if you step out of line, they'll take away all your money. They'll take away your ability to buy stuff. Very messed up. So yeah, inflation across the planet is happening badly. And obviously, the United States is having a horrible time right now. But if you ask the Biden administration, they'll say, nope, the economy is in a better place than it has been historically. You mean like compared to the Great Depression? It's better than that. Barely. Maybe. Or what? The Big Bang? The economy sucked then. It's better now than the Big Bang. I don't know what they're trying to say. I know Jean-Pierre is the biggest freaking liar on the planet. Wow. Just under Joe Biden. He's the biggest liar. This is how they're going to make it seem like, now the prices really aren't that much different. Yes, they are. Your normal thing of Gatorade used to be 32 ounces. For a little bit more money now, it's now 28 ounces. So they've removed 4 ounces, made the bottle a little smaller and sexier. Oh, it's so skinny in the center. I love that. But it's more expensive. So a lot of people are like, oh, it doesn't seem like it's nearly as bad. It's like the frog in the boiling pot, right? You start it when it's cold, and then you turn on the heat, and eventually the frog's just like, oh, man, this is like a jacuzzi. This is great. And then it's too late. He's dead. And that's what they're doing to us. So Haribo, the gold gummy bears, I don't know why gold bears seems wrong. They dropped from 5 ounces to 4. Arm & Hammer laundry detergent went from 75 ounces to 67.5. Kleenex reduced the count of tissues from 65 to 60. Everybody's doing it. They make it look the same, but it's not. Pay attention to what you used to buy. Pay attention to what you're actually getting now, and notice the difference. And honestly, that's one of the things you're probably going to notice about your retirement. 401ks are getting hammered right now. IRA is getting hammered right now. If you've got cash sitting in the bank, I think the T-bills right now are 2%. I've got a high interest that I've got from my business, and it's like a little over 2%. That's the best you can hope to get right now with cash. Now, putting cash in stock's not a good idea because the stock market's been a mess. Complete mess. In fact, it'd be fun to look it up. Let's check it right now. Stock market's been a mess. Oh, come on. CNN, really? They should have pulled that up easier. Where is it? There it is. So the Dow's down a little bit. Not horribly bad right now, but definitely down. We're seeing a couple areas that have been doing okay. Again, if you've got the ability to manage your own stocks, you're probably going to be all right. Get into energy, minerals, utilities, stuff like that. You're probably going to do okay. But overall, here's the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P for the year. Dow is down just under 10%. NASDAQ is down 22.5%. S&P is down 13.6% for the year. That's your retirement, folks. That's your wealth. You worked your butt off for a bunch of years to put all that wealth together, only to have Uncle Sam or only to have the World Economic Forum stripping it away. DRSlikesgold.com. Check out the site. Goldco can help you out. They can help you transfer your precious wealth into precious metals. There's a few ways you can do it. There's instantly you can pull out some money if you want to. You can do it tax and penalty free. And this is definitely a way to protect a chunk of your retirement so you can push it off into wherever tomorrow is, right? I don't know how far out that is, but precious metals will still be worth a lot come 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, or wherever we finally get the new economic system in play. Check it out. Get your free kit. There's only like 4 data points you have to provide. DRSlikesgold.com. Get your free kit. At least learn how you can protect your wealth and dump it into essentially precious metals. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, but definitely want to put some of these eggs, some of these precious metal eggs, you want those in your basket for sure. DRSlikesgold.com. Check it out. Obama approved accusing Russia of the DNC hack before the FBI ever received the DNC server images. Interesting. Already approved the lie before they technically could have even known that the lie was worth telling. Doesn't sound like a surprise, does it? FBI seizes electronic data of retired 4-star general related to his role in a legal lobbying campaign on behalf of Qatar. Or Qatar, I think they say it. What I don't get about this, first off, it's FARA violation, and it's the FBI seizing his information. I don't trust the FBI, so now I'm like, part of me is wondering, is this a good guy? I mean, I doubt it. Are these good guys within the FBI that are going after a bad guy? Maybe, but I have a hard time believing it. So I'm not 100% sure where I should feel about this guy. He's obviously a Marine, 4-star general, but, I mean, we've had other generals come out and just be horribly disappointing, so that doesn't necessarily mean anything to me. But FBI seized his stuff. They're pushing forward on this. Got court dates coming up and everything else. They're saying there is substantial evidence that these FARA violations were willful, the FBI agent said. So we'll see. We'll see what comes. We'll keep following that story as it progresses. Jim Jordan alleges the FBI is purging agents with conservative views related to January 6th. One more example of the FBI doing horrible stuff. This whistleblower that's in the FBI, God, the FBI's got to be trying to find this guy, whoever he is, because he has given all sorts of interesting information to people in the House and people in the Senate. So we will see, again, what continues to come from all this. But yeah, apparently the FBI is letting go of people that are patriots. Matthew McConaughey tries to rescue Biden during a gun presser, and it's an epic fail. I don't know if it's epic fail by any stretch of the imagination, but what I do want to point out is that Matthew McConaughey used to be an actor I liked. He's obviously deep state, no question about it. I know he wants to run in Texas, and he's completely, as of this presser, completely lost my support.
We need to invest in mental health care. We need safer schools. We need to restrain sensationalized media coverage. We need to restore our family values. We need to restore our American values. And we need responsible gun ownership. Responsible gun ownership. We need background checks. We need to raise the minimum age to purchase an AR-15 rifle to 21. We need a waiting period for those rifles. We need red flag laws and consequences for those who abuse them. These are reasonable, practical, tactical regulations to our nation, states, communities, schools, and homes. Responsible gun owners are fed up with the Second Amendment being abused and hijacked by some deranged individuals. These regulations are not a step back They're a step forward for a civil society and the Second Amendment.
Can I just comment on how horrible he is? He's an actor. And he's an actor that wanted to get into politics. You guys remember he was thinking of running for governor or something, right? He sucks. I loved him as an actor. Loved him as an actor. Even liked his commercials for that car company. What was it? It wasn't Buick. Was it Continental? Whatever it was. It was pretty cool. They were cool commercials. I kind of liked him. And I always thought he was a good guy. He's from Texas and figured he liked guns and stuff. So I'm like, hey, he's probably a good guy. Not anymore. Guy's a piece of trash. James Wood shares with us, the nursing home slaughter was more devastating than every mass shooting in history. Shut up. Can't disagree with him. Throwing that out to Andrew Cuomo, the breast grabber. And, I mean, I'll be honest, that's a great part of the female anatomy. Kind of more of a leg and butt guy, not that you asked, but just saying. We all should presume guilt. On the same day Elon tweets about Epstein client list, reporter brings out the true story. And they're right, this Adam Davidson guy does a great job just breaking it down. And I know I'm getting long here, but ultimately saying, I know the burden of proof, right? I assume they're innocent until proven guilty, but he's basically saying in this case, not really true. I think we should assume guilty, period. And I mean, again, I will always say innocent until proven guilty. When it comes to Epstein and all the stuff that's happened, there's already been ample evidence to come out that suggests he was guilty. Then he died and disappeared. Now Ghislaine Maxwell is in jail. And right, and then we've got Harvey Weinstein. That is just, he's got like 5, 10, I don't know, he's got a bunch more rape cases coming up. The dude's going to be going to court constantly for rape cases. Guy's raped everybody. So, yeah, Adam Davidson calls it out. Does a great job. Really just pushing this whole thing that Musk was saying, like, I'm never going to see a unicorn, a dragon, or a Tyrannosaurus Rex, nor am I ever going to see the Epstein-Maxwell client list. So, yeah, good on what's his face, Adam Davidson. He's doing a good job. I just got to point this out. It's just funny to me. Pot calling the kettle black certainly is well said. Dingbat MSNBC host says Republicans are going to cheat in the midterms. The people that won't let us investigate the last election because of cheating, and they said it was the safest, most secure election ever in the history of history. And they're the ones that are now accusing us of cheating in the upcoming election. Already planting the seed. Why? Because they're going to lose. They know they're going to lose. So they either got to get a backstory or figure out a way to not let the elections happen. This is going to be a very exciting year, folks. Very exciting year. The group that doxed and led protests at Brett Kavanaugh's home has now issued a call to eject justice from court. Witnesses one elite man was punished and discarded for his crimes. At the exact time, would-be assassin was at the scene. There was a dude on the scene with a gun that was taken by the police, and the guy's like, yeah, I was planning on killing Kavanaugh. Okay. These people are inspiring their side to be violent. Now, again, your guy wanted to come and shoot Kavanaugh. I still don't want to get rid of guns. Not even close. Like, that didn't even come close to make him. In fact, I'm glad cops found him. That's awesome. And two, I still think we should have guns. I think if Kavanaugh had a gun, it'd be like the McClaneys or whatever they were. The guy was out there with the AR and his wife with the gun, like holding it in a funny way. Nah. It's just disgusting what they're doing. Disgusting. The left. This is it. No forced birth. Leftist news outlet touts vandalization and threats to far-right pro-life pregnancy care center. If abortions aren't safe, neither are you. Antifa and anarchy symbol. Meant to be looking like blood, I'm assuming. This is in Asheville, North Carolina. This is what the left does. They do damage. They cause harm. They cause physical violence. They point the finger at all of us and blame us for it. Well, you triggered me. It's not my fault I kept that place on fire. Yeah, it's 100% your fault. I don't care if I triggered you. I don't give a crap. I'll trigger you again. Watch. I'm going to frickin' push all your little buttons and drive you insane. And it's going to be fun. And I'm going to laugh at you as you just slowly go over the edge. Good times. Far-left pro-abortion terrorists firebomb a pro-life pregnancy center in Buffalo. All the safest places in the world. Hey, we should make fire illegal, Shouldn't we? I don't think it's anywhere in the Constitution that you have the right to fire. So we should make fire illegal. And then you'll never see fire used to hurt anybody ever again. Hey, one of my own jokes, and it may not be funny to some of you, but to most of you, I think you're going to find it a little funny. And it's kind of wrong, but that's okay. It's my joke. I literally made this up myself. Now, you guys have heard the whole story, right? Give a man a fish, feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, feed him for his whole lifetime. Well, build a man a fire, keep him warm for a night. Catch a man on fire, keep him warm his whole life. Just saying. Just saying. Something to think about. San Diego grand jury indicts 11 Antifa militants for attacking Trump supporters during a Patriot March in Pacific Beach. I remember covering this. Bunch of these guys shooting all sorts of stuff. Well, 11 of them got busted. Indicted. Antifa. Specifically called out for being Antifa terrorists. And specifically, they called out the Antifa aspect of it. This is progress, folks. As much as it seems like we're losing when you watch all the news, it seems like we're kind of doing a little better than they realize, right? And finally, Louisiana officially bans transgender athletes from competing in women's sports. Democratic governor declines to take action. Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. And, they're probably not going to be able to feed their children lunches any longer, but that will be the case, I guess. Now, I just want to remind you guys, we've got some great deals, mypillow.com/OTF. Take advantage of it. You can get your slippers for $49.98. These slippers are incredible, super thick. It's like wearing clouds on your feet. They've still got some great buy one, get one stuff. I cannot tell you how much I love these freaking towels. I did not think I would. I had Costco towels that were thicker. They felt thicker. Okay, so I was like, oh, these are way more plush. The Costco towels feel like they just wipe water off of me. They don't absorb it. My pillow towels absorb. They're soft. They're comfortable. It is so strange. It is so strange. I literally dragged my feet using them because I'm like, these other Costco towels are way thicker. Nah, these things are freaking awesome. I don't know what it is. And I know it's not just because I'm like in love with these guys, because it's not. It's not that at all. I love the pillows, but whatever. Dog blankets, dog beds, toppers, duvets, mattress covers, weighted blankets, gossamer blankets. Dude, they got so much stuff. Get it while it's cheaper, because as we get into the winter months when it's actually cold and you need blankets and stuff like that, this stuff ain't going to be cheap anymore, if you know what I mean. They got pajamas or panjamas, as my girlfriend calls them. Got all sorts of great stuff. Check them out, mypillow.com/OTF. Use the coupon code OTF. Save yourself a bunch of money and get the best night of sleep you've ever had. It's the great win-win situation. Because we're going to need to sleep, folks. We got some tough times coming ahead. Make sure we stay rested. Keep your health up to par, too. Make sure you're getting your vitamins, your vitamin D, your vitamin C, right? Your zinc. Keep those levels up. Make sure you keep kind of pushing forward. We are going to go through some tough times. We are going to win. We're going to have to hold the line. We're going to have to make noise when the time is right. We're not going to go kinetic. That's not needed. Not anywhere near yet. Not even close. Hold the line. Stand strong. Speak your truth. And live the rights that you have. Live free. Be free. What do free people do? They do whatever they want. That's what free people do. Free people don't worry about what so-and-so said. Remember this, folks. It's going to be a challenge. I'm not saying it's going to be scary. I mean, some of us are going to get scared, but they are going to walk us as a nation right up to the edge. Right up to the edge. Understand that. Prepare for that. Know that this is happening. And also know that there's a lot of us patriots out here that are standing up for this country, that are standing up for each other. Know who your neighbors are that you can trust. Know who's in your circle. Be ready. That's all I can say. We're going to do this, and we're going to get through this together. I assure you, I'm not going anywhere. I'm sticking around. I'm going to be with you guys through all this thick and thin. We are going to get through this, but it will be a challenge. That's part of what this is all meant to be. This should hurt enough so it never happens again. So we write new history books telling our kids and grandkids why they can never let this happen again. We've been complacent for too long, and now we must deal with the chickens coming home to roost, if you will. We're going to do this. Where we go one, we go all. It's On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.